Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Middays with Trace, your weekly afternoon break. I'm your host, Trey. Let's get right into the show. Today's guest is an associate professor in the visual arts department, a world-renowned artist, and was named the 2022 HTC Distinguished Teacher Scholar of the Year. Let's give it up for Charles Clary. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
So can you tell the audience just like a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got involved in art and, all this?
Yeah. So my name's Charles Clary. I'm originally from Morristown, Tennessee. I graduated in 2004 with a BFA in painting, and then again in 2009 with an MFA in painting. And now I don't paint anymore. I'm a hand-cut paper artist. I've been doing that for the last 15 years, and things have kind of really taken off recently.
Cool. So what first led you to the world of art?
So my mother was an art major when she was in college, and was very passionate about the arts. And as a young child, she really encouraged everything that I was doing. I was very kind of into the art world. I was very much into drawing and sculpting, building things. Never had a piece of paper that I didn't doodle on. And she really kind of encouraged that through my young years into my high school years, and was very supportive of me getting a degree in studio art, and then later on getting my MFA.
Wow. And like you said, you've been into the paper cutting. Are these sculptures, or what would you call them?
I would call them hand-cut paper sculptures.
Okay.
They're not 2D, they're not 3D, they're somewhere in between, so I call them 2.5D.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a whirlwind kind of adventure since 2007.
How did you first get started with these paper sculptures, like you said?
So in 2007, I was awarded a residency in New York at the Elizabeth Foundation building, and while I was there, I was doing mostly painting and some cutout drawings, and the studio didn't have a wood shop, so I actually couldn't build canvases or panels, so I had to find another kind of medium, and my work was speaking a different language than just painting. So I had an internship with a gallery in Brooklyn, and on my way home, I stopped by a paper store, and just so happened that Martha Stewart at that point was making a really kind of wide array of scrapbooking paper with beautiful blown out colors, and I grabbed a bunch of that and then never looked back.
So you actually just got back from residency making these, right? Can you tell us just a little bit about that, like where you went?
Yeah, so in early June, I was exhibiting work with the Moleskine Foundation in an exhibition called Detour that was being shown at One World Trade Center. And about 5 or 6 hours before I was set to be at the opening, I get a message from a lady named Tiffany Taylor inviting me and asking if I would be interested in doing the Alumni Atelier residency program through the Savannah College of Art and Design in Lacoste, France. And she said it was going to be a 2.5-3 month residency, and I checked the calendar, and it kind of bled into the semester a little bit. So I was like, before I can say yes or no, I need to call my chair and my dean. So got the approval from both of them, submitted the materials that they requested. I got a call a week later that my dossier had been approved, and it was just waiting for the president's approval. About 2 weeks later, that got approved, and then I was on my way to the south of France. And it was a wonderful opportunity because I got to spend 2.5 months just fully dedicated to my work. My studio was a cave in this kind of ancient city. And I was there with 5 other Atelier residency members. And it was just really nice to be back in the studio and having that kind of communal experience. Yeah. And being in another country for that long, letting it affect the work and letting it evolve in a very kind of organic way.
Right. Do you have any core memories that stood out to you during your residency?
Yeah, I mean, it's a residency that's only offered to alumni of the university. It's very the way that they broadcast it, it's a very elite residency. Only 80 people have done it out of thousands of graduates. Just being able to be immersed in a different culture, being able to travel as much as we did was really kind of an amazing experience. Again, meeting the president of the university, again, and sharing those kind of moments with her, but having the camaraderie with the fellow Atelier members, I think is something that I'm going to really kind of take away from this experience. I've got 5 new really good friends, and I'm going to carry that and cherish that for the rest of my life.
Great, that's great. So let's talk about this award you won. So you won the HTC Distinguished Teacher Scholar
Yes.
of the Year. How does that feel? Like, were you surprised when you got it, or like did it?
I was. I mean, I apply to things all the time. That's the nature of being an artist. And I felt like I had gotten to a point in my career where I felt comfortable applying for it, being here for about, I think this is starting my 8th year at Coastal. And it has been a booming 8 years. So I took a chance and was like, yeah, why not? Worst they're going to say is no, or I won't hear anything at all, and that'll be fine, and I'll be just as happy for whoever gets it. And then I got a phone call one afternoon from Provost Ennis, and I thought initially that I was in trouble for something, because that's just how I am. And he congratulated me on the decision to get the HTC award, and it was a surreal experience. I never thought in a million years, this kind of young in my teaching career, that I would be acknowledged in that way. So it's a very prestigious award, and it's I'm very humbled by it.
Did you ever think when you first started art, like, one day I'll get to travel across the world doing my art, or one day I'll win prestigious awards? Like, did you ever have that thought when you first started, like, crafting your art vision?
I mean, the artists are their own worst critics for the most part. So for me, it was always the hope that was going to be the case. And in the art world, nothing is ever really given. It's you've got to earn everything that you get. And it's just one of those things that I've put in the hard work. I'm a bit of a workaholic when it comes to making and teaching. So I always hoped that one day that it would pay off. Never did I think that it would pay off so quickly and as fast as it has.
And then what advice do you have for students that may be either going to the art field or currently in the art field and then looking for their own path? Do you have any advice that you can drop on them?
I do. I think self-deprecation is a thing that I see a lot within the art world, and I try to teach my students to steer clear from that. Everything's a learning opportunity. I've failed numerous times. Be okay with that. And the work ethic, I think, is the big thing. Just staying on it, make work outside of the class, make work for yourself, always dedicate some part of the day to making, because you never know when that spark is going to hit. And you don't get to that spark without the hard work. And another thing that I impart onto my student, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do this as a lifelong endeavor. Everything that we see, everything that we touch, everything that we experience has had an artist hand in it. And that is super key and important. So those are just a few tidbits. There is a little bit of luck, but I think for the most part, you make your own luck. So the harder you work, the more work you have, the more that you can say yes to opportunities that eventually present themselves.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We know, as the time of this recording, we know you haven't even been back in the United States for more than 3 days?
Yeah, thereabouts. I got back on Sunday the 11th at about 10:30. And immediately went into meetings and teaching the very next day. So, yeah.
Well, we appreciate you for taking the time and coming on the show.
Yeah.
Charles Clary, everyone.
Thank you so much.
All right, it is that time again. Time for this week's Hat of the Week. And I have a special surprise. So, honestly, I forgot a hat for this week. And so, I'm Spider-Man. Just so you know, I'm Spider-Man. It's time for your weekly update. I'll be telling you some of the events that are going on at Edwards College this week. So first, Thursday, September 22nd, starting at 5:30 p.m. in the Alfred Ballroom, the Department of English hosts a poetry reading with Professor Dan Albergati. Next, starting on Friday, September 23rd, at 7:30 p.m., the Department of Theater presents Radium Girls, a play set in the 1920s and explores the impact of media on the truth, the value of time, and the struggle of the marginalized as they fight for their voices to be heard. This show will run until October 2nd. Finally, on Wednesday, September 28th, starting at 4 p.m., the Department of History continues its lecture and film series with the lecture Kin and Carnage, hosted by Kevin Kokomore. A lot of good events are coming up this week, and like I said, we didn't have time to touch on them all, but be sure to follow all of the Edwards College social media pages to stay up to date with everything Edwards. All right, that wraps up this week's episode of Midday with Trey. I hope you enjoyed it, and make sure you come back same time, same place. Bye.